in the material world, and he sometimes considers material enjoyment to be full of miseries. However, due to his strong bodily conception, his memory is destroyed. And again, he runs after material enjoyment. Just as an animal runs after the mirage in the desert. Purport by His Divine Grace is Çrémad-Bhägavatam. The main disease in the material life is the bodily conception, being baffled again and again in material activity. The conditioned soul temporarily thinks of the futility of material enjoyment. But again, he tries the same thing. By the association of devotees, a person may become convinced of the material futility. But he cannot give up his engagement, although he is very eager to return back home back to God. Under these circumstances, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart, compassionately takes away all material possessions of such a devotee. As stated in the Çrémad-Bhägavatam 10:88a, yasyäham anugåhëämi hariñye tad-dhanaà. Lord Krishna says that he takes everything away from the devotee whom he especially favors when the devotee is overly attached to material possessions. When everything is taken away, the devotee feels helpless and frustrated in the society, friendship and love. He feels that his family does not care for him any longer, and he therefore completely surrenders to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. This is a special favor granted by the Lord to a devotee who cannot fully surrender to the Lord due to strong bodily conception, as explained in the Caitanya-caritämåta, Madhya 22:39. ämi-vijïa The Lord understands the devotee who hesitates to engage in the Lord's service, not knowing whether he should again try to revive his material life. After repeated attempts and failures, he fully surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord then gives him direction, and attaining happiness, he forgets all the material engagement.
Om Vijnāna-timirandasya Jnānanjana-shalakya Chakshurunmilitanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Caitanya-Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakama Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Siddhiv Sadvaitam Savadhutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shah Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Gantana Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindaneshwari Vishwanusuti Vancha kalpatarabhyasya Vipasinu Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaura Hare Hare Krishna. The translation. The conditioned soul. Repeat. Sometimes personally appreciates the futility of sense enjoyment in the material world. And he sometimes considers material enjoyment to be full of miseries. However, due to his strong bodily conception, his memory is destroyed. And again, he runs after material enjoyment, just as an animal runs after a mirage in the desert. So Shukadeva Goswami is explaining over here that sometimes the materialist can see that there is no sense enjoyment in the material world. And he thinks, yes, I should give up all this nonsense activity and take to spiritual life. I'm sure we've all met people. Yes, you're right, there's misery in life. But tomorrow then they change their mind. So Shukadeva Goswami in this chapter has been explaining how important it is that we should give up sense enjoyment. And if you carefully analyze, the entire Bhagavatam is devoted to this one theme. And the theme is utilize the rare human body in service to the Lord. Unfortunately, there are so many schools and colleges, but nobody teaches us this important element. So Shukadeva Goswami is explaining in detail in this Bhagavatam. And in the previous few chapters, you read about the instruction from Jat Bharat to King Rahugana. And now Shukadeva Goswami is continuing on the theme that we must give up sense enjoyment. Sense enjoyment is our greatest enemy. And as long as we pursue that path, we remain entangled in the cycle of birth and death. That's why the Bhagavatam takes 18,000 verses to illustrate the importance of spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita also, because these are our big obstacles. So in the previous 9 verses, very elaborately, Shukadeva Goswami has explained the foolishness of sense enjoyment. He gives the example. A moth sees a light in the night, and it is very attracted to light. So the moth goes and sits on that bulb, and with the heat of the bulb, he dies. The fish is very attracted to eating. So the fisherman, what does he do? He attaches the food to that hook. When the fish sees it, comes to satisfy her tongue, and he gets trapped by the cunning fisherman. The elephant is usually very difficult to capture. So how do you capture the elephant? The he-elephant is made to follow the she-elephant. They dig a ditch, cover it with grass, and the he-elephant walks on that ditch covered by grass and falls in the hole. The deer is an animal very hard to capture. How do they capture the deer? They play a particular melody to which the deer is very attracted. And the deer tries to locate where is that melody coming from? And in the meantime, he gets shot. The bee is very attracted to fragrance. So it moves from flower to flower. Then comes and sits on the lotus flower, says, this is what I was looking for. This is real samadhi. And then in the evening, when the lotus flower closes, the bee gets trapped too. Yes. So Srila Goswami gave these examples, I'm sure you've heard before, to illustrate how somebody who becomes a victim of someone addicted to the senses gets captured. So again and again, Srila Goswami is making this point. Now what's he saying here? The conditioned souls, we are all conditioned souls. We are conditioned by so many factors. And as long as you identify with the body, we are conditioned souls. So what is our weakness? Our weakness is we are too attracted to sense enjoyment. But sometimes the conditioned soul says, this sense enjoyment is not possible. This sense enjoyment is just hallucination. And we should not pursue this path. Waste of time. Shrama, kevalam, simply a waste of time. Sometimes the conditioned soul says, where is enjoyment? You must be having experience. Sometimes you devotees go out to preach, and your preaching is very effective. And the man says, yes, Swamiji, what you're saying is right. There is no enjoyment in the material world. In the material world, what? Nothing places of misery, dukkha, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita. But then a little later, he sings a different tune. He says, yes, it is full of misery, but there's enjoyment also. So that we fulfill that path. Just like when you go to a funeral, when someone passes away, we're all very grave. But then after some time, that gravity goes away. So the conditioned soul personally understands the sense enjoyment is not beneficial. As it is said in the scriptures, sense enjoyment can never satisfy you. You can never be satisfied by pursuing the path of sense enjoyment. There will always be misery. And to think that I can find real enjoyment in the material world is, what is it called? It's simply a dream. So the conditioned soul sometimes personally appreciates that there is no real enjoyment in the material world. And he considers material enjoyment to be full of miseries. Material world is basically full of misery, isn't it? The karanam and shashvatam. So sometimes when the conditioned soul is in the right mentality, he understands that this material body can never really be enjoyed. Anyone who says, I will enjoy, I will find real happiness through material endeavors, is simply what? Simply a foolish man. So sometimes the conditioned soul comes to the realization that the material world is full of miseries, and I should make plans to get out of here. Like Prabhupada used to say, a gentleman will always try to find out how to free oneself from the miseries of life. He's a real gentleman. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami met the Lord in Ramakeli in Bengal. They were holding very important positions with our Nawab, called Nawab Hussain Shah. And when they met him, they said, in society everyone considers us to be intelligent, but we do not know who we are. So, Kåñëa, please explain who we are. So that is real intelligence. We've heard this many times, but it doesn't sink into our head. So sometimes the conditioned soul recognizes, yes, there is misery in life. I must not waste it. I will not waste even 1 second, because Chanakya had said, a minute lost cannot be made up with the wealth of the entire world. Maharaj Khatwanga was a very pious king. He had helped the demigods in a battle with the asuras. So the demigods were very obliged. What can we do for you in exchange? You made us victorious over the asuras. The demigod said, just tell us how much more time we've left to live. And Maharaj Khatwanga said, a minute more. So they at once descended to this chill world to meditate on the Lord while leaving this body. So that is actually a devotee's mentality. I don't have much time left. But having come to the material world, we also forget it. And the purport Prabhupada is saying, due to the bodily concept of life, we forget that there is nothing but misery in material life. From beginning to end. Sometimes people say, you people are very pessimistic. You're always talking about misery, old age, death, disease. You only have something better to talk about. They say that. Because the reality is that people don't like hearing the truth. They say in English that truth hurts. When you speak the truth, they feel hurt. They don't want to hear something, some artificial sweet talk. But the devotee, he speaks the truth. The scriptures speak the truth. When Prabhupada went to America, he was advised, don't present this philosophy in such a strict manner. Prabhupada refused to compromise. So the conditioned soul appreciates sometimes that there is really no sense of enjoyment in the material world. And this is propaganda. Propaganda by whom? By the material. You know, a few weeks ago, I think I told you, we had a court case in New York. And in that court case, it's called one. The other side was trying to prove that these Hare Krishnas, they're just brainwashing our children. And they have completely changed his life. So Prabhupada said, you can wash the brain if you have something. But then he said, brainwashing? We're not brainwashing. We're just undoing the damage that they have done. The materialists are brainwashing us. What does advertising do? You see advertisements on the road? what do you advertisement on the radio? What do they do? It's trying to brainwash you, isn't it? What they're trying to brainwash you. Buy this product and you'll be happy. They're trying to brainwash you. Prabhupada gave us a story. Once there was a deaf husband. Prabhupada said this is a Bengali story. So there was a deaf husband who was calling his wife, "Come here." The wife was cooking in the kitchen. She said, "I'm coming." Then he said again, "Come here." He said, "I'm coming." And finally he got impatient. "Are you deaf? You can't hear I'm calling you for such a long time." But actually he was deaf. What she said, "Are you deaf?" So we live in a society of cheaters and cheated. Bhaktisiddhanta used to say, this is a society of cheaters and cheated. People are ready to cheat and people are ready to be cheated. They don't mind. So the conditioned soul comes under the illusion that this material body, which is sense enjoyment, is not the ultimate goal of life. The goal of life is to take to spiritual life. But he has that realization, but then he changes. You must have seen devotees come and take your association, you all preach, and they're very agreeable. But then 2 days later, you meet them, they don't even recognize you. Because then they again come under the influence of the illusory energy. Therefore it is said, we should constantly stay in the association of devotees. Association with devotees helps us stay on the right path. And that's why all the acharyas have said, sadhu sangha, sarvashasakaya. So in the purport, Prabhupada is making the point that by the engagement of association of devotees, you can stay on the right path. In the purport, Prabhupada has quoted in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada has quoted 2 verses, one from Caitanya-caritämåta and one from Çrémad-Bhägavatam, which explain that when the Lord sees a devotee is serious about spiritual life, what does he do? This is 1088.8. The Personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way he suffers one distress upon another. So the Lord is saying here that when I have special favor to somebody, when I see that this man wants spiritual life, but he still has some entanglements and attachment, what does the Lord do? He deprives him of his wealth. He takes away everything. So in this way, the person may be fully dependent upon him. In the first canto of the Bhagavatam, Queen Kunti says, my dear Lord, please increase my calamities. Does anybody say increase my calamities? Does anyone say that? Does anyone say, please give me more miseries? No, nobody says that. We're always praying, please give me comfort, please take away my misery. But Queen Kunti says, oh my Lord, please take away my miseries. Why? Because the more misery you give me, the more I meditate at the lotus feet. And the more he meditates at the lotus feet, the faster will he get freedom from what? Birth and death. Sometimes when these miseries happen, we say, why is it happening to me? But Queen Kundi says, let the miseries come. Because the devotee in a miserable condition just turns to the Lord. A materialist in a miserable condition experiences may go away from the Lord. But a devotee in a material, in a difficult position just turns to the Lord. Therefore Queen Kundi says, my dear Lord, please increase my calamities. The more the calamities come, the more I remember your lotus feet. And the more I remember your lotus feet, the faster I gain freedom from. In the fourth canto, you read the story of Dhruva Maharaj. How Dhruva Maharaj underwent great austerities. And why? He underwent great austerities. He wanted to please the Lord. He was sitting on his stepmother's, on his father's lap, when his stepmother asked him to get off the lap and take birth again from my womb. Then he become eligible to sit on your father's lap. So Dhruva was told by his mother, only God can help you. And to get the mercy of the Lord, he underwent great austerity. So after he got the audience with the Lord, the Lord said, Dhruva, ask me for anything you want. For me, you underwent so many difficulties. Dhruva said, I was looking for what? Broken glass. But now I found a diamond. So there's nothing I want. So this Krishna consciousness is like a diamond. And in the absence of spiritual life, we're attracted to wealth, sense enjoyment, power, etc. But when you come in contact with devotees, you realize the value of devotional service. And you develop a higher taste. Just like we have a cookbook called The Higher Taste. We will develop a higher taste. And when you develop a higher taste, you realize that this is the real diamond, this is the real wealth. But sometimes you see, yes, this devotee is attracted to devotional service, but there are some impediments. He's attracted to his wife, he's attracted to his wealth. So what does the Lord do? The Lord gives them special mercy. And this is also quoted in today's purport. Today's purport has two very strong verses. That's why I'm reading them. So this is what in the Caitanya-caritämåta it says. Since I am very intelligent, this is the Lord speaking. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. So the Lord is saying that when he sees that someone is very sincere about spiritual life, but he still has some attachments. And because of these attachments, he's not able to completely pull out. Then what does the Lord do? The Lord gives him special mercy. And what is that? He takes away everything and makes a devotee depend upon him. Prabhupada many times said, Prabhupada started his business and he was in the chemical business He had a shop in Allahabad, Prague, and he didn't succeed. Then Prabhupada came to Bombay. So he tried several business ventures, but they didn't succeed. So Prabhupada said, finally Krishna took away everything so that he can depend exclusively on the Lord. So what is being stated here? The conditioned soul, he appreciates the futility of sense enjoyment, but he realizes there are miseries, but then he forgets it again. And he runs after material enjoyment, just like an animal runs after a mirage in the desert. In the desert, is there any water? No. In the desert, there is no water. Mirage means there is no water, but you see that at some distance there may be water. And we go on chasing. Oh, not here, there, little ahead. Not there, little ahead. So the animal goes on searching for the mirage, for the water. And what happens in the process? What happens? He dies. So that is material life. We think that the mirage is there, just a little bit ahead. We've seen so many movies, none of them give us happiness. We've had so many encounters with women, none of them give us happiness. We've amassed a lot of wealth, but it didn't give us happiness. But still I'm thinking, now the next one, that's going to give me happiness. So that is the illusion. So the Lord very often puts the devotee in such a difficult position that eventually he surrenders to whom? To nothing but the Lord. And to have challenges on the path of devotional service is nothing new. Prahlad Maharaj had to face so many challenges. Every day some devotee comes to me. Oh, serious problem with my parents. They want us to come home, get married, have children. That is standard mantra. Get married and have children and do a job. That's a standard mantra that all new bhaktas have to get used to. So, but Prahlad Maharaj also had to go through difficulties, isn't it? Why was Hiranyakashipu the enemy? Because Prahlad was attracted to his enemy. Prahlad's father wanted him trained in diplomacy, wanted him to run the kingdom. Prahlad had different interests. So, to have attraction for the Lord, to engage in devotional service, in spite of opposition, is nothing new. Like all you devotees have this problem, isn't it? When you become a devotee, from parents, relatives, you should think, oh, I'm not the only one. Prahlad Maharaj had that problem also. Prahlad Maharaj also had that problem. Dhruva Maharaj also, initially, he practiced austerity. So the conditioned soul sometimes loses everything, and then that causes them to surrender. In the Bhagavatam, you read the story of Avanti Brahman. The Bhagavatam is like a story book. You can read and not get tired. In the material world, you have stories of movie stars, sports stars, politicians. But these stories don't really give you real benefit. But Bhagavatam is full of spiritual stories. So, there was an Avanti Brahman. He was very rich, richer than Mukesh Ambani, very rich. And he had all the wealth, but he was also a great miser. He would not give money to anyone, not to his wife, not to his children, no one. If you have money and you don't share money with anyone, then what happens? They become your enemies, isn't it? They say, पैसे का क्या फायदा? हमको तो एक पैसा नहीं मिलता. So this Brahmin, he was a Brahmin by birth, not by practice. He didn't even give money for religion. At least a miser should give money for religion. He didn't give money for religion also. So this Brahmin was very miserly. He had big agriculture business, but he would not give his money to anyone. So over time, all his relatives became his enemy. The wife became the enemy. The children became the enemy. The relatives became the enemy. And in the Caitanya-caritämåta it is said that when you have wealth, you make many enemies. Who? The government. The government becomes one of your enemies. The government says, you have so much money, it's made because of our good government. Pay income tax 70%. And if you don't pay, then the thieves. Thieves never target a poor man, do they? The thieves never go inside a jhopar-patti to rob that battery they may have in there. But the thieves will target someone in greater Kailash. So in the Bhagavatam it is said, the thieves also become your enemy. The thieves say, why is he keeping so much wealth? I should share it. And then the relatives, they also become your enemy. They say, you became rich because of our blessings, so give us some share. So when you have wealth, you make 15 different types of enemies. Therefore, if you have wealth, use it to serve the Lord. If you keep it with yourself, if you keep it in your custody, you'll face a lot of problems. So, this Brahmin eventually lost everything. He had so much wealth, but he didn't use it to serve the Brahmanas. He didn't use it to serve the Lord. He didn't use it for his own sense gratification. And he did not use it for his family's sense gratification. So he lost everything. So initially, when he lost everything, he was in a state of shock. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know what happened. I lost all the wealth I had. So he was in deep depression. He went and got these anti-depression tablets. Yeah, he was in deep depression. Then after that depression, it dawned upon him, I must surrender to the Supreme Lord. Then he surrendered to the lotus feet of Mukunda. And then he took to sannyas. He was traveling from one location to another location, and people would ridicule him. Hey, he was a rich man, but he lost all his money. Now he has become a sadhu. They tell you sometimes, no? You could not succeed in the material world, so now you have become a sadhu. This is common. They say, material life में fail हो गए, अब भजन करने लगे. So everyone, so people started telling this Avanti Brahmin that you cannot succeed in material life. Now you have become a Brahmin. And he was traveling. And now as he was traveling, he was glorifying the Supreme Lord. And people were passing urine at his food, ridiculing him, but still he was not disturbed. He became totally fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord, and he went on chanting the holy names of the Lord, and he traveled from one place to another. So in the Bhagavatam, the story is there, and there's a sannyas mantra in this story. It is explained that even if you are depressed, even if you are in distress, the solution is take shelter of the Lord. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. People say, Krishna says, people come to me due to how many factors? 4. Chaturvidha. What are they? One who is in distress. So, we all get in distress sometime or another. But a devotee doesn't get disturbed. Like Queen Kunti said, my dear Lord, please increase my calamities. The more calamities you increase, the more I meditate in the lotus feet. So a devotee, the more difficulty he faces, the more he depends on the Lord. He doesn't say, why does Krishna do this to me? What have I done? The devotee just thinks, I should have experienced something far more painful. But the Lord is so kind, He's given me only a tiny bit of mercy. So one who is in distress, inquisitive, the genuine seeker of knowledge. People come to me for reasons. So the devotee, even in a difficult position, he just surrenders to the Lord. And the devotee knows that if I want real devotional service, this is the only alternative. Read another story of a prostitute called Pingala. Pingala was a prostitute, very beautiful. One day, she was standing in front of her door looking for customers. Any man who would be passing by, she would think, oh, he has money, he'll be my client. But whole night went by and she didn't get any customer. She was initially in a state of depression. No customer. But then she said, I'm so foolish. I'm trying to pursue material happiness. But there is no material happiness. And then she surrendered to the Supreme Lord and became content. So, material life can never offer us any type of happiness. If you think that material life will offer you happiness, that is just illusion. As Prahlad Maharaj says, Na te vidum swatagatim he Vishnu. People do not know how real happiness can be found. Real happiness can be found only by the path of devotional service. And the materialist is foolishly thinking just a little ahead, there will be happiness. Now everyone all over the world is in a lot of anxiety because of COVID-19. They are getting anxiety. But they are saying now, 6 months everything will be okay. Why? The vaccination is coming out. The vaccination will come, and then business as usual. But even if the vaccination comes, you have to test that vaccination, see what the results are. So we keep hoping that the next level is going to give me happiness. That is the power of illusion. The power of illusion is, It makes you believe you can find happiness in the material world. But Krishna says, dukkhanam ashashvatam, and that is real. One good thing that this COVID-19 has done, it has made it easier to preach. You'll say how? Because now you meet so many people who say, yes, I can see this misery. People never dreamt that you would have a situation like this. Did they ever dream? Did you all dream that temple would be closed for 8 months? In Bombay, we were lucky. In Delhi, we opened the temple in June. But in Bombay, our temple is still closed. The churches, the mosques, they're still closed. In Pune, it is still closed. And there's no word when it's going to open. So now people are seeing, yes, there is misery in life. You have graduates with top scores, they can't get jobs. You have businessmen complaining. You have people having shops. Shops are open all day, but no customer. So now people are saying, yes, this is true. There is nothing but misery in life. So when you preach, they may agree. Then a little later they forget. They forget why? Because of the bodily concept of life. They are very attached to this body. They believe that by material manipulation we can buy happiness. But what is the devotee's understanding? No. Doesn't matter how much manipulation you do. Material world is a, Prabhupada used to say, prison house, where we're all prisoners. Someone may be A-grade prisoner, someone may be B-grade. But basically, we're all prisoners. And what is the solution? There's a spiritual solution. And we start to run after sense enjoyment. So running after sense enjoyment is our disease. Oma jnanti vrandasya, jnanan janashalakya, Çrémad-Bhägavatam tasmai shigrave namah. We were born in ignorance. Most of us live in ignorance, and the majority of us die in ignorance. But the fortunate soul, just like Caitanya-Mahaprabhu told Çrémad-Bhägavatam Goswami, Brahmata Brahmita Kåñëa Bhagavatam Guru Krishna Kripa Bhai Bhakti Radha. After traveling through many, many births and deaths, is he the fortunate soul who received the seed of bhakti. So we sitting here are fortunate. We have received the seed of bhakti. We have received the knowledge. The devotional service is the only means by which you can find real satisfaction. But just having this knowledge is not enough, isn't it? So what do you have to do? What do you have to do? You have to water the seed. Just like you may have a nice garden, but if you don't water the seed, will the seed grow? It won't grow. So there's a watering process, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained, the process of chanting and hearing. That is the key to spiritual advancement. And we chant and hear, and there's no limit to how much you can chant and hear. The Lord has incarnated in the holy name, Kali Kali Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar. And by chanting the holy name, what happens? What happens? Chetadharmarjana. The heart gets cleansed. What does the heart get cleansed of? What? Huh? What? The anarthas. The anarthas are stumbling block. Anartha means that which is unnecessary. So these are not necessary. And because of them, we can't understand the truth. Prabhupada used to say, our heart is more black than a coal. So, by regular chanting, this seed of bhakti will grow. And in order to make sure that the unwanted elements don't come in, we should keep ourselves surrounded by devotees. And if you regularly associate with devotees, take part in Shravanam Kirtanam, then you can really understand there's no mirage in this desert. That was just hallucination. There is mirage in the desert. There is no mirage in the desert. You realize material world is nothing but a place of misery. So take advantage of devotee association, take advantage of chanting and hearing, and that will help you to stay on the spiritual path. So Shukadeva Goswami, in the previous 9 verses of this chapter, there's only one theme. Sometimes people say, I don't go to the Hare Krishna classes. Why? They always talk about one topic. Krishna, Maya, give up sense enjoyment. I want to hear Rasa Leela, Krishna's Rasa. But if you see Shukadeva Goswami, in this chapter called The Forest of Enjoyment, he's just focusing on verses that more or less have the same meaning, but his presentation is different. In the previous verse, he has said how one may associate with the females, but that is not going to give you real happiness. And the whole focus is how to give up sense enjoyment. Why is that? Because this is our greatest enemy. So the first 9 verses of this chapter, they all have the same theme, and the remaining verses will also have the same theme. So why is Shukadeva Goswami repeating the same point again and again? Because this is our biggest obstacle. And that's why this thing gets repeated. Nasta paresha vadeshu nityam bhagavad bhagavad-gita shloke bhakti bhagavad-gita. So to summarize, Shukadeva Goswami is continuing on this theme. The material world has been compared to a forest of enjoyment. A forest of enjoyment in which there are many plunderers, many animals, and these plunderers are compared to the senses. When the senses are not controlled, they take you to hell. We gave those examples earlier in the class. If the senses are not in control, they are responsible for taking you towards hell. So the devotee's understanding is, Rishikena Rishikena Sevadam. These senses must be used in service of Rishikesha. That is the perfection of life. Amrish Maharaj was a classic example. He used his eyes to see what? The beautiful form of the Lord. He used his tongue to glorify the Lord. He used his legs to walk to the temple of the Lord. He used his ears to hear the glories of the Lord. He used his hands to do what? Huh? Do you devotees ever clean the temple? आप ऐसे कितने भक्त जो मंदिर साफ करते हो रेगुलरली? Only 2. Amrish Maharaj used to clean the temple with his hand. And he would walk with his legs. What would he do? Walk to the temple. Walk to the temple of the Lord. Do we walk? No. We'll only go if I have a car. We use his legs to walk to the temple of the Lord. Madhya Puri was instructed in a dream to go and bring sandalwood because the Lord was feeling great heat. So Madhya Puri walked all the way from Govardhan to Jagannath-puri. Maybe tell any of you, Govardhan walk to Jagannath-puri and bring us chandan. I don't think you say, yes, but give me a ticket. Amrish Maharaj used his legs to walk to the temple of the Lord. In the 10th canto, you read the story of Hariñye or Manigriva and Anugåhëämi. So these two were intoxicated, and when the great sage Narada came there, they didn't have the courtesy to cover their bodies, and they remained intoxicated. Narada Muni wanted to teach them a lesson. A sage, even if he chastises you, even if he curses you, it is for your benefit. Sometimes when we get chastised, we say, oh, I'm feeling depressed now, I got chastised. But one must know, this chastisement is for our benefit. So Narada Muni said, you were naked in front of me, intoxicated, now become a tree. But where? Where? Huh? Yeah. And he gave them a benediction. At the end of 100 years, you will have darshan of the Lord. So, at the end of 100 years, the Lord was crawling and he pulled down the 2 Arjuna trees. And the sons of Kåñëa said, we have got saved by the causeless mercy of Narada Muni. And then they said, from now onwards, we want to use our senses constantly in service to the Lord. From now onwards, may our eyes constantly see the form of the Lord. And they explain how all the senses should be used in service to the Lord. So before we come to Krishna consciousness, we use our mind and intelligent senses in nonsense activities. But after you come to Krishna consciousness, associate with devotees, study the scriptures, then what should our approach be? Just like Anugåhëämi said. They said, from now onwards. That means what I did in the past was wrong, but now we will not repeat that mistake. So our mentality should be, yes, I have done all these wrong habits, but now that I've come to Krishna consciousness, now that I'm getting the pure message of devotional service, I should not repeat them. So we should not repeat misusing our senses, but use them in service of the Lord. And we have so many nice examples. So there's a very nice verse. Actually, every verse of the Bhagavatam is nice. Bhagavatam is sweet, whether you take it in the middle, or the end, or the beginning. Like sugar cane. You can bite anywhere, it is sweet. So the Bhagavatam in this verse is explaining how we get illusion and we think that, yes, sense enjoyment, we get illusion and we think that, no. How we come to even in the material world, we come to the realization, yes, sense enjoyment should be given up, but because of deep attachment to the body, we forget it. And therefore, when the Purport Prabhupada says, one should be in devotee association, stay in devotee association so that you always remain on the right path. And by practicing the process of devotional service, we can avoid getting illusion. Illusory energy is very strong. What does Krishna say? Devesha gunamai. To overcome this illusory energy is very difficult. But if you surrender to Him, then you can. And on the path of surrender, if Krishna sees you have some strong bodily attachments, at the same time you have a strong mood to surrender, then He will take away those attachments so that you can depend upon Krishna. And we quoted 2 verses that explain how Krishna takes away all our attachments, takes away with our money. Oh, so you may say, then I don't want Krishna. He takes away my money. Krishna says, I take away the wealth also when I see that this person is sincere, but he's remaining attached to money. So Krishna says, I take away, I deprive him of everything, so he depends upon me, like the Amanti Brahman. And then I give him more pure devotion. So regular hearing will give us spiritual strength. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We take on. No. We can take on questions if we have. Huh? Hey. Any questions? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Gurumaharaj, in the translation, Srila Prabhupada is writing that all these miseries are due to bodily conception of life. So how we can get out of the bodily conception of life?
Exactly, by becoming a spiritualist. A spiritualist believes I must use my body to serve the Lord. You know? I must use my senses to serve the Lord. And the materialist is thinking the opposite. Khao pio jio. That's the goal of life. So that is the bodily concept. I want to satisfy my ears, I want to satisfy my eyes, I want to satisfy my senses. Okay? So we get rid of bodily concept of life by taking to Shukadeva Goswami's instruction. We need to do what Shukadeva Goswami is telling us. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much for so many wonderful illustrations from the scriptures.
Actually, this word had many, purport had very nice purport.
My question is, Maharaj, Krishna mercifully sometimes takes away the material attachment of a person or takes away everything that belongs to him in order to get him to surrender fully. But this
Question of Hindi में भी पूछ सकते हो. Yeah, sorry.
So, Krishna takes away material attachments and finally he takes away all whatever belongs to somebody in order to get him closer to him. But yet, despite the mercy that he has received, sometimes the living entity struggles to maintain the level of surrender and feel grateful for the mercy. So how does one develop that?
So your point is, Krishna has bestowed his mercy, but we don't fully appreciate it. But Krishna bestows his mercy in many ways, and he can always take the help of a spiritualist. If by our being deprived of something, we are going to surrender to Krishna. It's like sometimes if somebody's business flops, somebody's family runs away, something happens. Initially we are all in a state of shock, like Pingala and Ananti Brahman. But then from that state of shock, there is renunciation also. So your question is?
My question is, after the initial bout of renunciation, one slips back into usual mundane.
Yes, actually this is exactly what the verse says. The verse here says that sometimes we come to the realization the world is full of maya, misery. Where is the happiness? But then tomorrow you change. Tomorrow you say, Yes, but it's not going to strike for another 20 years. So I have enough time to fool around. वर्स में वही लिखा हुआ है. वर्स में लिखा हुआ है कि कई बार हम लोग समझ जाते हैं कि भौतिक जीवन में क्लेश ही क्लेश, कष्ट ही कष्ट है, कोई सुख नहीं है. और अगले दिन भौतिक संबंध के कारण हम इसे भूल जाते हैं. हम कहते हैं नहीं नहीं आनंद है, अभी तो समय है काफ़ी, हमें नोटिस मिलेगा जब है. तो इसके लिए प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं कि मस्ट स्टे इन साधु संग एंड रीड रेगुलरली, हियर द क्लास. गीता मेरा प्रभु टेल्स एवरीवन एवरी डे, भागवतम क्लास में आओ, गीता क्लास में आओ. Even if there are two people, he gives the Bhagavad Gita class. That's very good. Okay? Yes.
Thank you for explaining the purpose of mental nature and how we should develop an attitude of Madhya.
I'm sorry, how?
We should develop the attitude of Madhya to come out of this sense gratification mentality.
All good qualities can develop by hearing and chanting. This